As the background will tell you, this is an event organized by the TAF Foundation, and it is the first TAF ICON celebration. So the person, let me just say it, Mrs. Janet Badjan Young is making history tonight in that she is the first recipient of the first TAF ICON. And without much ado, I would like to invite my good friend, Alhaji Mustafa Njai, aka TAF. Some still call him TAF Holdings, which was his first company. But he is now CEO of TAF Africa Global. And he is going to do a two-in-one address, an address that will formally welcome you to the event, and also give some brief remarks on what the TAF Africa Foundation and the TAF ICON Award are all about. So without much ado, Alhaji Mustafa Njai, aka TAF.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alhaji Peter. I call him Alhaji Peter. People wonder, how can you call a Peter Alhaji? Actually, I'm sure with names, you've said aka TAF. I've seen some friends, some old friends here, some teachers. Francis will call me Yahi. And Roddy and others, will call me different names. But let me just start by recognizing the head of the United Nations Development Program, Mrs. Aissata Deh, our first recipient of the TAF ICON Award, Mrs. Janet Badjan Young. My old teachers, actually, when I looked around, I recognized, quite a number of people who taught me at school. And these people are hardly recognized when you've reached a certain level in your life, when you're successful. But they have been people, who contributed immensely to who I am today. So we need to recognize them. So, Madame Jibril, ça va? En français? She taught me French. I'm sure there are others over there. Mrs. Njai, Mayor Mahoney, and others at Gambia High School. She didn't teach me, but she was in the school whilst I was there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and I have been asked to give a brief background of the TAF Africa Foundation and also the ICON Award. And I will start with this. I'm sure some of you have heard this like a broken record. As I get a bit older, I'm a bit philosophical. And I have now had a philosophy in life. I try to look back about what life means to me. And I've come up with this, what I call the 4 quarters of life. 4 quarters of life, meaning that we all target 80. 80, I think, is a difficult age, a line to cross. Some will cross the age of 80, but that's a bonus. So I divide 80 by 4, and the first 20 is some of the crowd here. Young boys and girls who are here. And, you realize that everything that you're doing in life is being done by others for you. Your parents, your guardians, and society at large. Then the second quarter of life is between the age of 20 and 40. And for me, that's when you start life. When I look back, that's the time I started work, that's the time I started family. You could hardly be successful in this quarter. But it's very important in your life. Everything you do in life, that's the beginning of it. Then the third quarter is what I call the make it or break it quarter. By then, you should have built a family, you should have been successful, or if failure strikes, that's the time it happens. Now, the last quarter, which is between 60 and 80, I'm not saying that we stop at 80, huh? You have the bonus, you can go above 80. I just entered the last quarter about 2 years ago. And I sat back, whilst roaming around and doing business, of what should I do in life? And I thought, there are 2 things I think I need to concentrate on. One is my relationship with the Almighty Allah, to work on it. Roddy, you're laughing, huh? So all the sins committed, you can repent. and be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or God. And the last thing is leaving a legacy. And for me, to leave a legacy here, I don't think it should be in construction or business. I decided to set up the foundation and to touch as many lives as possible, focusing on the youth. In Africa today, you have probably, on average, 70% of our population are the youth. And these are our leaders. They're not the future leaders, they are our leaders. So therefore, we need to work on them to make them very good leaders. So we set up the foundation, and in our foundation, the TAF Africa Foundation, it's on our corporate social responsibility, we dedicated 1% of our revenue towards the development of the youth and the less fortunate in society. And with this, we set up about 7 different initiatives. You can see it in the background here. So I'll just list it out. We started with TAFCON. TAFCON actually we started in 2015, where we have international conferences being held every year. This is the 4th time that we've held it, and it's getting bigger by the day. So TAFCON really brings around, Gambians, both local and abroad, just discussing national issues and how we can advance our country as a nation. Then we have the TAF Entrepreneurial Network. About 2 years ago, I brought together, some middle-level business owners that we network. I mean, like what you do probably at Rotary, but more informal and network amongst ourselves, maybe around the age of between 25 to 35, 40. So we learn from each other, and we build a strong network. Then the third one is the TAF Training Institute, where we help train young people through internship, but we also hope to develop a more formal structure in addressing, skills, mainly on construction skills. Then we have the Gambia Disability Trust Fund. We noticed that, quite a number of the differently able beg for alms. So we set up a fund, about $1 million, and give out soft loans to them so that they can earn a living rather than being in the streets, begging for alms. Last year, we did the TAF Startups, with the first prize winning $1 million, the second prize $500,000, and the third prize that's $5,000. It's $20,000, $10,000, and $5,000. And we're happy that we had promising young Gambians who are entrepreneurs, that won it, and they have invested it in their business. The 6th is the TAF Leadership Academy. We have an academy where we train young leaders who are just starting up life. 50 of them, we took them from the University of the Gambia and some higher institutions. And then what we've done is to bring in prominent Gambians, highly respected Gambians, to talk to them on the basic, the quality of leadership. I think some of us who really are on the side of the hall, or probably in the front here, the reason why we've been successful is because we were lucky to have good parents or leaders who really worked on us to have the good qualities of life and be good leaders. Today, I think as we look in Africa, across the board, we're really running out of good leadership. Not only in the political front, but almost in everything in life. So we have the TAF Africa Leadership Academy. I will name a few. We've had the first lecture that was delivered by the former president of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce on futuristic vision. Then the second was delivered by Madam Aida Drame on honesty. Then my sister, Ndai Aisatu, delivered one on accountability, and the list is going on. Last Sunday, we had Mrs. Oli Dibawada, who delivered a lecture on empathy. We have 12 different topics, so the list will go on. Aki Allen is one of the lecturers that's going to come in, so 12 of them. And these students have decided to compile all these lectures into a book. They will graduate by December this year. So that's the sixth one. The seventh is the TAF ICON. The TAF ICON is to recognize Gambians that have worked in their lives but have given back. And I have been fortunate to know Mrs. Janet Badjan Young. Auntie Janet, I knew her about almost 20 years ago. When she retired, I built her house. So I knew her when she was discussing with Uncle Willie where the house should be, whether it should be in Sierra Leone or here. And then we went through the process of buying this global house, getting the railings from Trinidad and Tobago, windows from Miami, the doors from Kenya, even the plants. So we became very intimate. So I saw it all over the past 20 years. Now going forward, in the future, we are going to have a committee, a very independent committee, that will be looking out for these icons and celebrate and honor them. But for Auntie Janet, I just thought that what she has done, because I have been part of it, she deserves to be our first awardee. Peter is 10 minutes sharp. Now, the other I should tell you is the main objective of the TAF ICON. So I'll go into the objectives. The objectives are to identify role models who will provide inspiration to the young Gambians as they begin their journey through life. Then 2, to celebrate their achievements, both in terms of their careers and their lives in general, with a particular emphasis on what they have given back to Gambian society. Then the third one is to partner with them to share their stories and, where possible, provide support to the youth in learning and knowledge networking. So these are the 3 main objectives, and I think you fit in there. So without much ado, today is Auntie Janet's Day, and we're going to celebrate her in big time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Good evening, ma. Full of surprises, huh? How are you doing? You alright?
There's a letter from the TAF Africa Foundation, addressed to Mrs. Janet Badjan Young, Kanifing, Gambia. They say the TAF Africa Global Foundation, which is the corporate social responsibility arm of TAF Africa Global Limited, aims to provide support to Gambians, especially the youth, in learning, networking, skills strengthening, and the development of small and medium-sized enterprises. In this regard, the foundation is comprised of annual TAFCON conference and networking event, the TAF Africa Technical Vocational Education and Training Center, the TAF Africa Startups, and the TAF ICON Award. The TAF ICON Awards serve as a mechanism for recognizing Gambians who have had a stellar career and who continue to give back to the nation in their own way.
Praise be to God.
The main objectives of the TAF ICON Award are to identify role models who will provide inspiration to young Gambians as they begin their journeys through life. The second, celebrate their achievements both in terms of their careers and their lives in general, with a particular emphasis on what they have given back to Gambian society. The third, partner with them to share their stories and, where possible, provide support to the youth in learning and knowledge networking. It is against this background that I am delighted to inform you that you have been selected as the inaugural TAF ICON.
Oh my goodness me!
This is in recognition of your auspicious career both at the United Nations and in the Gambia, and the indelible mark you have left on Gambian society through your invaluable contribution to art and culture.
I am deeply moved. I really am deeply moved. I don't know what to say. It's like a dream, you know, not. because it is true we do try the best we can, but sometimes nobody recognizes it, you know. But I think it's not for world recognition or even national recognition. We get our recognition when the children we've groomed are a success. This is our gold award, a golden award, you know, so to speak. And I am, you know, as I said, a great admirer of you, because you have moved mountains.
I have grown up these days to just think about what good can we do for our country. And when you try to do good things, it's not about yourself or your very, 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 very close family. I mean, we need to think about ourselves as a country. And I think we want to identify, you know, personnel, the minimum age of 60, so 60 upwards, who we think needs to be honored, needs to be recognized. Somebody who has worked all his life, retired, but giving back to society, giving back to the Gambia. And for this reason, we chose Auntie Janet Young, who retired and took his money and built the Ebunjan Theater group, which is only for the good of the young ones. That's why we did this. So to Auntie Janet, you know, for a well-deserved award.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm going to talk today about my mother's experience in Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, in the early 70s. The 70s were an important point for my mother, as she was participating in several plays. I'll try and go through, you know, the highlights of most of the plays, but at that time she had a lot of energy, was very enthusiastic about theater by her peers. In the 70s, we left Freetown, Sierra Leone to go to Nairobi. We were really expecting to have a good experience. It was a new country, and there were a lot of different things that were occurring at the time. My mother had a lot of energy, as you know, at that time, and she started getting into the theater scene in Nairobi. At the time, the theater in Kenya was very developed. There were a lot of theaters that were there, European theaters, and also theaters that were professionally run. My mother decided that she was going to compete in some of these roles, went for auditions in most of the Shakespearean musicals that were occurring at the time. Her first play was one that was fully recognized by the country, and it was called Othello, and she played the role of Bianca. She also starred with several co-stars from East Africa and West Africa. In Othello, she was joined by the Honorable Joe de Graft, who was a great playwright and was one of the stars in Kenya at the time, teaching at the University of Nairobi. She then took part, and I won't go through the whole list because I think then I will definitely go over my time. Unless I have more time, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Okay. She then took part in Romeo and Juliet with one of Kenya's best actors, Mr. John C.B. Okumu. They were good friends to this day, and their performance was referred to as being one of the best seen by the audiences in Kenya at the time. Keep in mind that the people that were critiquing the different plays were used to European actors and used to sort of the basic kind of plays that they were doing at that particular time. Once she was done with that, my mother had a chance to be the star of a play called Antigone. In that play, she wowed the audiences, and I'm not just saying this because she's my mother, please bear with me on this, but she definitely wowed the audiences. I remember seeing a full-page article of her in the papers, you know, describing how excellent she was and what talent she had. Upon completion of those plays, she then started working with one of the big directors in Nairobi, Kenya. He was forming a group that they called Jaribu. Jaribu in Swahili meant, let's try. And his idea was to try and get a group of people from different races, Asian, European, and African, to perform to the audiences and try and get the inclusion of Africans in theater as a whole. My mother produced what was called The Moon in a Rainbow Shawl, and this was a Trinidadian play that was also successful. During this period, my mother still had ideas about the life cycle of theater. It was not just the acting, it was not just the production of the play, it was how can this impact social change? What were the things that she could do to influence political changes, and how could she get people involved? She was approached by a Kenyan actress by the name of Mumbi Wamaina, who together they formed a group. They called the group Tamaduni Players. The essence of that group was to look at literature that was being written by Kenyan writers. There were very many famous writers such as Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Kenneth Watene, and Koigi wa Mwere, who were producing great literature that were liked by the press. Once she started the group, her first play was called Portraits of Survival. Portraits of Survival was a play about homeless kids in Nairobi, and it focused in on having the kids explain their life. She got real-time people to participate, and again, she received a lot of accolades in terms of getting them involved and making sure that they were able to be recognized in the position they were. Her playwriting also had controversy. She did a play called Dedan Kimathi, where she focused in on Mau Mau fighters, freedom fighters, people who were fighting, and they were controversial because they had killed a lot of people in terms of trying to get independence. But she was able to say, we're going to do this play, and we're going to make sure that people hear the messages that we're trying to send at that point. During this, the Tamaduni Players, she formed alliances. There were several alliances that she formed with the University of Nairobi, with UNESCO, and also with what's called the Kamaritu Community Center, which was part of Ngugi wa Thiong'o's sort of controversial political situation. When she left Kenya, she also was still enthusiastic about theater, but had a big plan in mind. Her plan was to ensure that the life cycle of theater, starting from the point of the play, the acting, and then the integration. And similar to what she's doing now today in Ebunjan Theater, which I'll leave to Auntie Grace to talk about, she was able to form the collusion of people that were willing to move forward and help develop Kenya. Today, Kenya theater is thriving. There are several theaters, there are several actors and actresses that are doing world-renowned things. There's a lady, I forget her name, a Hollywood star that was grew up in Kenya, that was also a part of this process. That said, my mother had a vision for Ebunjan Theater, and I'm glad that she's here to meet it. I'm glad that she's got this award, because for years she has been working very, very hard. And I'm glad that she's recognized, and I'm really proud of her. My sister, unfortunately, is not here, but we're very proud, and thank you very much for the award.
We invite Ms. Grace Chapman, lecturer at the Department of Arts and Sciences, University of the Gambia, to come and talk on innovative theater. You seem to have a lot of fans.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On this auspicious occasion, it is a distinct privilege to be part of this TAF ICON Award celebration, which honors the dramatist extraordinaire, Janet Badjan Young. Auntie Janet, like fine wine, as the saying goes, gets better with age. We are here this evening to recognize and honor Auntie Janet for her accomplishments as an innovative director, prolific playwright, and efficient theater administrator. Her intellect and goal-oriented hard work inspire and directly account for her successes in broadcasting, in broadening the use of dramatic literature for educational, cultural, and social development in the Gambia and beyond. As I reflect on this award and Auntie Janet's accomplishments over these many years, this quotation comes to mind. Success isn't just about what you accomplish in your life, it's about how you inspire others to do. Auntie Janet, your integrity, your character, and your impressive body of work in theater arts have inspired me and countless others. So many owe you a debt of gratitude. I first met Auntie Janet 8 years ago during my first trip to the Gambia. I was directing University of the Gambia students in a play called The Rebellion and desperately needed some materials to build a set for the low-budget production. A colleague suggested that I contact Janet Badjan Young. I met this quietly impressive woman for the first time a few days later, and she, with her typical generosity, provided the materials I requested for the set. Auntie Janet's timely assistance then played a major role in helping to make that production a success and left a deep impression on me. After that event, I left the Gambia, and approximately 1 year later, with help again from Auntie Janet, I returned to join the Ebunjan Theater team and take up full-time position in the Faculty of Arts and Sciences at the University of the Gambia. My connection with these two institutions continues to this day. It is worth noting that at the time I first met Auntie Janet, she had retired. After 5 decades of impressive work as a broadcaster and theater arts practitioner in countries around the globe, including Nigeria, Kenya, Sierra Leone, England, USA, Trinidad, to name a few. After such a fulfilling career, most ordinary people would relax and do absolutely nothing. After all, according to the Oxford Dictionary, retirement means the action or fact of leaving one's job and ceasing to work. I repeat, according to the Oxford Dictionary, retirement means the action or fact of leaving one's job and ceasing to work. That may be true for ordinary people, but certainly not for those extraordinary. Auntie Janet has continued to work tirelessly as a playwright, director, and arts administrator, making her retirement years some of the most significant and productive of her life. Auntie Janet is 82, she'll be 83, just in case you don't know, this year. Among Auntie Janet's many accomplishments during retirement are opening of the Ebunjan Theater, a multi-purpose facility serving thousands of patrons each year. staging and hosting theatrical productions by local and international theater companies, conferences, theater productions by local, conferences, training, workshops, and the list goes on. The multi-purpose Ebunjan Theater, despite the many daunting and challenges in birthing, became a reality in 2011 due to the perseverance of Auntie Janet pursuing her unique vision with a remarkable tenacity. That event marked a significant milestone in the annals of theater history in the Gambia. This building, to date, is the only multi-purpose professional theater in the Gambia with a resident theater troupe and an artistic director. Since its opening, the theater has hosted thousands of patrons, mostly students, who benefit annually from a range of educational, cultural, and social activities in this building, making Auntie Janet's references many times to this facility as the People's Theater. So apt, so true. It is worth noting that the Ebunjan Theater has been the venue, staging over 1 dozen of Auntie Janet's own plays, confirming her status as a singular, influential artistic voice in the Gambia today. These dramas, written by Janet Badjan Young, explored modern themes on the rights of women and girls, corruption, slavery, illegal migration, health, science, and technology. Indeed, in receiving the University of the Gambia 2015 Gambia Literature Award for Outstanding Contributions to Literature in the Gambia, Auntie Janet was recognized as the most prolific playwright in this country. Separately, I would like to acknowledge that it is no small measure because of sponsorship by TAF Africa Foundation and other donors that high school students and UTG students have been able to see productions at Ebunjan Theater free of charge. We are very, very thankful for that. Auntie Janet, congratulations, and thanks forever for inspiring me and countless others. I wish you the best of health and all the support you need to continue doing the important, essential things that you do so well. Bravo.
We have now come to the high point of the day when the awards will be given, but before that, I have a biography to read. Janet Badjan Young was born in Banjul, the Gambia, in 1937. She completed her primary and secondary education at the Methodist Girls High School and received the Cambridge School Certificate in 1955. She obtained a diploma in speech and drama from Rose Bruford College in Sidcombe, Kent, England in 1959, and was awarded a Master of Science degree in Broadcast Administration from Boston University School of Public Communication in Boston, Massachusetts, United States of America, 1964. Her education provided her with a solid foundation to become a teacher, lecturer in drama, performer, playwright, manager, and director. She retired in 1997 as Director, United Nations Information Center in Lagos, Nigeria. She has over 4 decades of professional experience in broadcast communication, that is radio, television, and film, and the performing arts. After her training in England, she taught for a year at Crab Island Secondary School in the Gambia. Sierra Leone Broadcasting Services offered her a position as senior producer. Her first engagement with the UN was a project communication officer, United Nations Center for Human Settlements, or Habitat, in Nairobi, Kenya, from 1981 to 1991. She then moved to Trinidad, where she was the director for the United Nations Information Center, covering the Caribbean region, and then on to her last post in Lagos, Nigeria. It was in Kenya that Auntie Janet's plays on social issues became her raison d'etre. She researched the plight of destitute children around the city of Nairobi and produced a script, Portraits of Survival, to commemorate the United Nations International Year of the Child in 1979. This play was produced by the Tamaduni Players, a theater group she founded together with Mumbi Wamaina. One of Janet Badjan Young's significant achievements is the construction of the first professional theater in the Gambia. This breathtaking structure, built with environmentally friendly bricks, was officially opened on the 17th of December 2011. She serves as the chairperson, Ebunjan Performing Arts Association, and artistic director, Ebunjan Theater Troupe. Its impressive 16-meter dome, a stage, dressing rooms, lights, control room, green room, and a seating capacity for 300 people inspire creative activities for young and old. It's a multicultural center, ideal for plays, celebrations, weddings, art exhibitions, musicals, and private parties. When Janet returned to live in the Gambia in 1997, after her retirement from the United Nations, she discovered that the performing arts were not considered an important component in the social and national development of the country. Talented youths did not have a nurturing environment or professional facilities to equip them for employment in the tourism, education, and entertainment sectors. Space was needed for training of youths and children, space to discover their talents, space to learn and appreciate music and dance and the disciplines required to succeed. The building started in 2008 and was completed in 2011. Auntie Janet's memorable plays that were written to motivate social change in the Gambia include The Ultimate Inheritance, The Hand of Fate, Usman and Rohi, A Special Delivery, and Backway, The Desperate Route to Babylon. And the playwrights' productions that have thrilled and moved audiences in the Gambia and abroad include historical dramas, The Battle of Sankandi, and Chains of Inspiration. Janet is arguably the most experienced and prolific playwright-director in the Gambia. Her personal dedication to a cause has blossomed. Her great achievements have and shall continue to build a monument which shall endure until the sun grows cold. End of biography. I now invite the resident rep to read the citation before the trophy is awarded.
You would understand my emotion I think everybody is emotional tonight because we are so proud. So the TAF Africa Foundation is pleased to present the mid-term TAF ICON Award to Janet Badjan Young for her profound contribution to the social, national development of the Gambia through music, cultural education, and the performance of arts. Janet Badjan Young has created a nurturing environment through professional facilities such as the Ebunjan Theater to equip talented youth with artistic skills. Ebunjan Theater is the first of its kind in the Gambia and continues to play a pivotal role in promoting the arts. She has personally developed hundreds of Gambians across all age and backgrounds by selflessly giving her time, knowledge, and resources. Among her memorable players written to motivate social change in the Gambia include The Ultimate Inheritance, The Hand of Fate, Usman and Rowe, A Special Delivery, and Backway, The Desperate Route to Babylon. The playwrights' productions that have thrilled and moved audiences in both the Gambian and abroad include historical dramas, The Battle of Sandiki, and Chant of Inspirations. Janet Badjan Young is one of the most experienced and prolific playwriters, director in the Gambia, and I wouldn't say even in Africa and global, in the world in general. Her achievement has and shall continue to build a monument which shall endure until the sun goes cold. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, recipient of the first TAF ICON Award. Now, we've been here close to 1 hour, 45 minutes. There have been speeches. A lot has been said about the lady of the moment. And now it's that point, that great point of the night when we actually are going to hear from Mrs. Janet Badjan Young herself with a note of gratitude.
I'm at a loss for words, and that's a surprise to me myself, because usually I talk. But I always say that if I did not get engaged in productions, I think I would be in jail, you know, because of the way I am. But I'm just going to say a few words. And I think that because I chose a career in the performing arts, in communications, my life can be described as rich, beautiful, exciting, magnificent, and a meaningful tapestry. There has been some sadness, but it is a tapestry I see every day, and I'm grateful to God, my family, teachers, friends who have contributed to this amazing tapestry. I was introduced to acting at the tender age of 3 at the Methodist Girls High School, and that made a great difference to my life. It is a shame that educational system tends to downplay the importance of the arts in school, and we will have to change that sometime. Michelle Obama, in her book, Becoming, wrote that she and Obama would invite musicians to their home and ask them to contribute to a workshop for youth. And I quote the reason she gave. She said, "We wanted to highlight the importance of exposing children to the arts, showing that it is not a luxury, but a necessity to their overall educational experience." TAF's objective for the award is a noble one, and I would like you to stand and give him an ovation. You see how I take over? To inspire young people to attain great heights in whatever career they decide to pursue. I will give my own humble advice to all the students who are here tonight. First, choose what you enjoy doing day in and day out. Enjoyment. I wake up in the morning and I look forward to the day. I wake up middle of the night to think of what I'm going to do. But I love it. Work hard and be creative. Our life on this earth, we all believe, was given by God, the Almighty, the Creator. We see what an artist our Lord and Master is in this world. You just have to look around. He is an artist, surpasses artists. And as we live each day, we recognize his glory and beauty of what he has created. A story is told of a little boy who, ordered by his teacher to draw a human head, sat quietly for a while and thought about this head that he was going to draw. And then he got up, ran to her, to the teacher, and asked, "Can I draw the inside of the head?" That is what we call creativity. Divergent thinking. He just did not do what the teacher said. He thought about it and thought, how can I do it differently? Let me go and do something else. Have family and friends around you who are positive about life. Negative people are depressing. They drag you into a well of melancholy and destruction. Never, never stop learning. Believe in yourself. And finally, love your people and your country, and do whatever you can to make the Gambia one of the best places on earth. I thank you all.
A deserving winner. Auntie Janet Badjan Young. We will now clear the stage for a performance, a dance by the Ebunjan Theater troupe. And the choreographer is Mr. Eddie Mentskol, and the dance is called The Impossible Dream.
Ali, you remind us that we are all brothers and sisters, and that nothing is impossible if we continue in grace to live the dream. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Jennifer Hudson.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. And on that beautiful performance, we now move on to the next stage of the night, and that is to the cocktails. So the children, please, school children, you will use the front garden. And can we now have the ushers to lead out first? Our awardee, our icon, flanked, of course, by the UN resident rep and her own proud son, and then of course the CEO of TAF Foundation, the rest of the front row.
When it's burning low, only miss the sun when it starts to snow. You only know you love it when you let it go. Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only hit the road when you're missing home. You only know you love it when you let it go. Staring at an empty glass, hoping one day you'll make me feel right. Drink up slowly when it goes so fast. See when you close your eyes, maybe one day you understand why everything you touch you surely dies. Cause you only miss the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love it when you let it go. Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only hit the road when you're missing home. And only know you love it when you let it go. And you let it go. 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 Only there's a light when it's coming down. Only there's a sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love it when you let it go. Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only hit the road when you're missing home. And only know you love it when you let it go. Only miss the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love it when you let it go. Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only hit the road when you're missing home. Only know you love it when you let it go. You only miss the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love it when you let it go. Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only hit the road when you're missing home. Only know you love it when you let it go. You let it go. All about this light, going in my head. One smell of glitter, rising up through the air. Up ahead in the distance, saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. I had to stop for the night. There she stood in the doorway, heard the mission bell. And I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven, that this could be hell. Then she lit up the candle, and she showed me the way. There were voices down the corridor, I thought I heard them say, welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place. Plenty of rooms at the Hotel California. Any time of year, you can find it here. Her mind is different and twisted. She got a Mercedes Benz. She got a lot of pretty boys that she calls friends. at a dance in the courtyard, sweet summer sweat. Some dance to remember, some dance to forget. So I called up the captain, please bring me mine. And he said, we haven't had that spirit since 1969. And still those voices are calling from far away. Wake you up in the middle of the night just to hear them say, welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place. They're leaving it up at the Hotel California, and it's time to keep. Bring your alibi. Mirrors on the ceiling, there's been champagne on us, and she said, we are all just prisoners here of our own device. In the master's chambers, they gather for the feast. They stab it with their stealing knives, but they just can't kill the beast. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. I had to promise passage back to the place I was before. Relax, said a nightmare, we are welcome to see. You can check it anytime you want, but you can never leave. Yeah.